Beis Hashem Parshas Kisisot of Shin Pei Daled. In Chovis Avovis Perek Daled, there's a paragraph about appreciation for someone that does good for you, Hakoras HaTov. And it goes something like this. V'omar echot min HaChasidim. One of the Chasidim said, he wonders, Ani tomeya mimi shenoisen l'chaveri mashagozo lo yetzlei aboira. I've always wondered when I see someone, let's say we call him Reuven, does something good for Shimon, and then Reuven is looking out to, he's waiting for the appreciation from Shimon. He's waiting for the acknowledgement that Shimon should thank him, and if Shimon wouldn't thank him, he would remind him, remember I got you, did the job, he would remind him. So the Echot Min HaChasidim, one of the Chasidim said that he's always looked at it funny, because it wasn't you that you gave the person the job. The person would have got the job without you anyways. So why are you being teveya? Why are you begging and asking for their appreciation, for the acknowledgement?
You know there's a chiyuv on the other person.
1 second. Look what he continues on. So he's wondering, why are you thinking that it's connected to you and you did it? That person was bashert for him to have the job, was bashert for that person to get the toiva. It's not connected to you. And then the Chavis Alavova says, V'yoyser ani tomeya. And even more interesting, it's even more weird, someone that got the toiva from someone, if Shimon accepted the toiva, someone helped him, someone got him a job, and we see that Shimon thinks and feels that Reuven helped him, and he acts with hachnoah, he's like humble, and he's mafayas him, he thanks him, and he would do back toivas to him, and he's meshabeach him, he praises him. And the Chavis Avova says, I can't understand it. What does that have to do with that person? He didn't do anything. If it wouldn't go through him, Hashem would have gave it to you anyways, because Hashem is really the one that's giving you all the toivas. It would have definitely got to you. So don't be so busy praising the person that gave you the toiva. That's what the Chavis Avova says. It's in Perek Dalet Sha'ar B'tochen, somewhere in the middle. Quote.
You should never thank anybody for anything.
End quote, how do you say? Now, the Rabbi Yankov, this is what the Chavis Avova says. And Rabbi Yaakov Emden has a go on this Chavis Avovas. And he says, it's a total mistake. I don't understand what it says here. And he starts bringing Psukim and Mishlei and Mamor Chazal, that talk about the big Maila of Hakoras HaTov, of showing appreciation and never forgetting that person did a toiva for you. And praising the person. And he says, Rus told Boaz, full of praise, Diri Pius V'Shevach, because Boaz did good with, he helped her. And he goes on and on from Psukim and Mora Chazal, that someone that doesn't show appreciation, doesn't show achnoah, and doesn't show pius, it shows that you're not in a good spot. You want to forget that person did something good for you. It's a shchosa. So he says it's a mistake. That if Yankev says, I don't understand what the Chavis Avovas meant here. But the Chavis Avovas himself talks about Hakoras HaTov, not stam. In so many other places, it's not like it's a machloikus of Yaakov Emden and the Chavis Avovas. The Chavis Avovas mentions numerous times that a person must have the biggest Hakoras HaTov for someone that once did a toiva for you. And the Chavis Avovas even says, we know the big famous yesod of the Chavis Avovas, that if a person doesn't have Hakoras HaTov to others, then they can't have Hakoras HaTov to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Chazal say, Kol HaKoifer b'teivos shel chaveiroi, soifoi, that he's going to be koifer b'teivos shel mokim. That means it's going to end up that you're not going to have Hakoras HaTov to the Rebbeinu Shalom. And Chavis Avovas holds that when we serve the Rebbeinu Shalom, mainly it's based on a natural Hakoras HaTov that a person is supposed to have to Hashem. Natural. Hashem is helping you constantly and giving you all your needs and giving you ta'anugim. Naturally, you want to do back and you want to be mekayim Torah mitzvahs. So there's something missing. Because what do Chavis Avos mean? So the first step of the answer to understand that there's two separate things that usually people mix up that have no shaykhis. One is chanufa, flattering, and the other is appreciation, hakaras hatov. One is a mitzvah, and one is a aveira. Totally. Now people tend to mix the two because there's a fine line in between them. And it's extremely important to define that line that's in between the two, because a person that's going to be invested in being makar tov day and night will end up being very, very, very early chayid. It's not going to stay by that hakaras hatov. It's going to change you. It's going to, all of a sudden the person is going to find themselves a better person to people, to Hashem. They're davening, they're learning. It's just going to happen. If they're be'emes, if they're practicing hakaras hatov from the inside. On the other hand, if a person is going to do a little bit more flattering and giving kavod and a little bit more, the person is going downwards and will find themselves totally disconnected from the Rebbeinu Shalom. So it's so important, because if a person did a toiva, there is another mahalach. A person doesn't flatter and doesn't do hakaras hatov, just has stamakofi toiva. There's some people that they choose that route, but that's also terrible for the person, for the ruchnius, for the gashmius. But we're talking about people that, for example, someone helped you when you married off a child, and that person gave you a hefty amount. Now that person wants you to come to their chasana. They're making a chasana, fly overseas, and you feel hakaras hatov. Well, it might be the case. It might be hakaras hatov. Maybe it's not hakaras hatov. Maybe it's chanufa. So how does the person define? We need some criteria to know what's hakaras, what's appreciation, and what's flattering. If the person is helping you. Anyway, he got your son into a yeshiva, or he got you an apartment, or he helped you for a long time in the eitzes that you needed, and then that person wants you to come and say a drasha, and he wants to prepare the drasha with you to tell you a little bit about him by the Chanosa Sefer Torah that he's going to make, or by the Sheva Brachas. He wants to help you talk about him. But how could I turn him down? He really helped me. He was there for me when I needed him. Now he's asking me that I should do something, and now I don't have time. Now I think I'm not enough important. Then I was important enough. Now you became too busy with something else. Now you don't need me anymore. The famous back and forth. So let's try a little bit. There's some Yesoides that are clear, and some Yesoides that are tricky. The number one klal from hakaras hatov and flattering, if you're now showing appreciation of the opposite, is in the heart of the person. Hakaras hatov is when a person knows that he's never ever going to need that person again. He doesn't need that person, but he feels that I want to return a toiva. I want to appreciate and acknowledge that he helped me. Chanufa is the exact opposite. Chanufa usually a person does when he feels that, listen, I have another few children to marry off, so this is what you got to do. The Chavos Avov is very clearly talking about a person that his achno is coming from, not the past, it's the future. Very simple. That's the first klal. That's the not tricky klal. That means when a person is a fundraiser, he's a fundraiser, and now right now he feels, what do you mean, because of you, that were whole moised, there would be no yeshiva, the whole dormitory and the coffee. He's shtusim and luxury. All he's saying now, if he knows, the person that's saying this whole drasha on the phone, that the total reason why he's saying all this is very simple. In another month he has to come back to him because he's finishing his monthly credit card. So that's why he's so busy praising him. That's praise that I'm trying to buy something. Why am I trying to buy it from this person? The answer is what I mean, because I don't have too many people in my community that have money. So I gotta send them to B'Shvat and Purim, and I have to continue because I need him.
So the test would be if the Gvir loses his money.
Avada, and that's what happens every single day. When the Gvir loses his money, all of a sudden there's no phone calls. Because you don't need me anymore. Very simple. You don't need me anymore. You were so interested in my family and my wife and my kids and the shidduch. What happened to your interest? That it is, he never had interest. It was a game. I played the game, he played the game. Once he doesn't have what to offer, that's the end of it. Chanufa is for the future because you're scared of the person. You need the person. Chanufa and Chazal is when a person is talking about davening. You're not going to tell him anything because you need his money. A person is doing an avla, but you can't tell him that he's doing something that's wrong. So you mechazik yedei over avera because you feel you need them. One of the problems in speech when a person is speaking what they're not supposed to, lashon hara or achilas, is one of them is chanufa. That means they feel they have to say lashon hara against somebody else because if I'm just going to keep quiet, that person is going to throw me out. Right? A lot of people. Sometimes it's people that have, if it's borderline or such, you need to say yeah. It means they're talking about others. And you're scared to say, I gotta go. No, and then they use it against you and you're scared of them. You're scared of them, so you just you nod with your head, yeah, this is it. So, that's simple. Hakaras HaTov is when a person feels that really I'm a shubha to that person, I owe him. Why do I owe him? Because I'm a balchoiv. He did me a toiva. I have to be meshubet and remember that toiva. Now nobody wants to be makar toiv be'emes. People that smile and they go also to the chasana because he came to my chasana, and people that they buy mishlech monas. 99% of it. Sorry for saying it like that. It's just because social skills, or it's not skills. There's another word. There's social. There's another word instead of social skills. There's the social pressure. There's norms. That means that's the, and definitely social pressures also. That means you do what you got to do. If someone did you a toiva, then sometimes you feel uncomfortable because you're going to meet him in the shul. But a person that should be makar a toiv per se, that means just because I'm a nothing and he helped me and I feel all my life that I have to, even if that person will never know that I'm makar toiv, he'll never know. He's not alive anymore. His children don't even know, but I'm going to work for his children. I feel I'm a evet for that toiv. It's a very big avodas Hashem. It's a big madrega. Let's not kid ourselves. It's very hard. People throw off pressures on themselves. I don't want to get involved. I don't want to carry this. Because it's be'emes hard, because it's taking a person's life and being constantly, how do you say, meshubed? Indebted? Constantly, I have to think, am I allowed to, am I not allowed to? I want to be a free man. I want to, what do I need to do for Hakaras HaTov? You want $500? Okay, take it and let's cut this. It's be'emes, but the Rebbeinu Shem doesn't want that. Hashem is expecting of a person to develop a ahava to this midah. It's not an easy one.
When it says the word Toda comes Russian of Vidoy, that your mother, I needed you.
toda, thank you, comes from the lashon of vidui, his vada, that a person is saying, yes, a few years back, I needed you. I didn't have anybody, you took me, you helped me. I'll never forget it. And because of that, I'm going to go out of my way constantly. It's not about how many times I go out of my way. It's about, it stays there. It brings a person to be very, very humble. But it's more than humble. It forces a person to act. Be'emes act mitoich understanding that it makes zero sense. That person's asking me a toiv, and now he needs me. Now it's a shchosa. That's what a person's supposed to get to. That means what is it called? A person that's all about themselves.
Self-centered.
It's self-centered. When I needed him, I felt it's pasha that he has to help me. Now, I'm busy with myself, and I'm putting myself in front of him. When he put himself in front of me, it's not good midas. The Eibusha wants a person to develop that they should want to be a good person. And the same way the Eibusha wants a person to be a rachaman, a person should have rachmonas. And the Eibusha wants a person to have natural, healthy busha. The healthy busha. They don't want to talk a certain way. It's neos, it's midas inside of a person to be a refined person, which is a odom, and not even for a yid. It's to do with a human being. In Chazal, the Psukim, it says you can't accept a ger from Amoni Moyavi. Why? Because they didn't have a Koras HaToiv. That means it's a human being. Hashem expects a human being to develop that they're not. It's not about myself. If someone did me a favor, I want to be the type of person that remembers the favor. And in my mind, I feel I want to remember it my life. I want to remember my whole life the favor that he did. People that start doing this, and it's a deep, develop a geschmack, and they would say it with a passion by a Sheva Brachas, I'm never going to forget what that person did with me. Take for an example a Talmud from his Rebbe. I was a nothing. He built me. He believed in me. He had patience for me. Sometimes people don't want to forget. They feel that when I don't forget, it brings out the good of me. They started developing that they want to be meshubah to it, because it keeps me in the mahalach. I want to be in that bubble to remember that that's who I am, and these are the people that help me. I want to thank them whenever I have an opportunity. It's the biggest covet for me. I don't need that they should ever know that I helped them. That's fascinating. That's going to turn the person into a different type of person. Versus. Now, the Chanupa part is mamish building the opposite of the person. It's building that a person is trying to squeeze money out of that person. Now I'm going to do inappropriate, sometimes Zachen that makes no sense. But listen, I need the money. Now it makes the person be, first of all, altiv to chubendivim, and they start being boiteach, they start trusting and start believing, and they start feeling that person is my life. They feel stuck. Sometimes you could have a very unpleasant conversation between a fundraiser and a donor. You used to give me what happened. Listen, I'm not going to mix into your cheshbonis. I'm just going to tell you, nobody's going to give you the schusim that my Moised gives you. So I want you to rethink. It's the toxic environment. It's like, hello, you lost it. There's nothing here. You're barking up the wrong trees. You're right now bringing out the worst of yourself. You lost the person that used to do you. He doesn't want to do the tova anymore. A whole life you're supposed to be thankful for when he did do the tova for you. In the past we mentioned a fascinating story from the Tosha Rebbe. It's scary, but it's a story that's Yadua with the names. The Tosha Rebbe Zechar Levracha, right after the war, people didn't understand him. He was an interesting fellow. his davenings all day, and he ran to the mikveh, and he till they got to understand his dargis and his madrigas, and afterwards the whole world saw his godless. Someone told me he read the book that Archel gave out. Yisrael Besser wrote it from Canada, so he knew him. On Tosha Rebbe, he became a new person. Just from he got so derhoib, and he wanted to just travel to go to the Tosha Rebbe to see him. But in the beginning, people didn't chap, and somebody had something against him, and he went to the mikveh, and somebody took a piece of wood and actually didn't let him pick up his head. Yeah, he wanted to finish him off. He was in the water trying. The last second, that person removed it. The Tosha Rebbe's whole life sent that person money and presents because he saved my life. It's a emes maisa. We're so far, we're so removed from such a musig. That's what it says in the Torah. Lo t'sayv mitzri ki ger ha'yisabarza. You have to appreciate a mitzri because he gave you a refuge. You lived there. What lived there? You know what they did with us? The Torah is saying that if there's a little toiv that person did for you, even if there's around at 99% of something else, if you are going to focus on the toiv that person did for you, you're going to put your head to it, and you're going to remember it, and you're going to appreciate remembering it. And you're going to work on yourself to be'emes feel it. You are going to be connected to the be'emes toiv. If a person did you a toiv, a person, sometimes you have employer that gave you parnasa for 10 years. But after 10 years, you asked for a raise. And it's not that he didn't give you the raise. It's how he said it that he's not giving you the raise that you felt. I think we're done. In Bemis, I worked so hard. I gave it all I got. And I wasn't appreciated. And you finished with it. And the hashkafa from the Torah says that you have to be able to get to a place to say, it doesn't make a difference what happened in the end, but that person, for years and years, he helped me. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to do it because we feel the pain. We feel it ended so not well. And we feel hurt because the person didn't, mamashi. It's in so many cases. We feel the pain. The Torah is saying, but there's a loitasai mitzri, yeah, it's black and white. And many, many such, okay, the Torah is saying that you should understand something. If you're going to, it had to happen what had to happen. Don't connect it to that person. Even if it was that person's bechira that was involved, it doesn't make a difference. If you are going to focus, and that's what you're supposed to focus, on the Torah that you once got from him, and just be stuck to that, and be'emet feel it, you're going to be elevated, and it's going to bring the best out of you. You're going to love people. You're going to love Hashem. You're going to be a happy person from a very deep place. It's not stam you're going to be a happy person. It's going to schlep out of you the best. Very deep chalakim from the neshama. Because you're dovak to toiv. The other things you don't see. It's avoida, big avoida, but it's going to strengthen the emunah b'tochen of the person. Very powerful. And the selbe starkheit that strengthens the emunah b'tochen of the person, the chanufa part is the exact opposite of that. That means, how could you turn me down? And it makes no sense and whatever. And it brings out the not good part of the person. With the part that you feel that you need him. I don't need him. So that's the erste Zach, the two very clear sugyas. Akoros Atoif and Chanufa. The Chavis is saying that I wonder, someone that helped you, there's a certain type of achnoah and a certain type of praise that's very, very unhealthy. It's the achnoah of you're doing things that make no sense because you feel, what should I do? I have to go. You don't have to do things that are not straight. You don't have to do things that are wrong. Things that are wrong you don't do, even if I'm marker toy, I'm not going to do something that's wrong. Question. someone that's asking you for Hakoras HaToiv, I'm going to go extreme where it's Pasha to be Machal Shabbos. So you must have Hakoras HaToiv, but I don't do this. So there it's clear, okay? Now, the person wants you to please go to somebody else and tell him that I said it. It's very not simple. You know, I said it very Lashon Nakiya. I feel, but how could I turn it? 1 second. Let's look at the exact zach that he wants you to do. The Keshala Atzmoi, is that something that's right or wrong? Many times it's gray area, so we have to even, right now, is it right or wrong? Or, for you, is it the right thing or not? If it's something that's dumb because it's hard, because it's going out of my way, of course I should have a Hakoras HaToiv. But if it's something that, in the principle of it, is something that's, I don't do such things, then you don't do it even for Hakoras HaToiv. So all the tzaddikim, they didn't go off the principles. They didn't do it. That's it. And in today's generation, is a lot of very, very, very ehrlich yid. But they're not going to go against something. They're very machshiv. They're moridig makar toiv. And they would go out of their way, but not do something that's not keshala atzma, something that's right. It doesn't turn into something that's richtig. Because sometimes you could see that the people write letters, hamlotza, that you should please help that poor person. Recommendations. They don't really want to do it. So if they don't want to do it because in principle, then they're not going to do it even for a person to have a Hakoras HaToiv. But if they feel uncomfortable, there's no principle behind it. So then for Hakoras HaToiv you have to do it. So a person has to be very honest with themselves. It gets tricky, but there's certain basic rules. The basic rules is that, let's say he wants you to fly to Florida for Purim, to be with him, the Simchas Purim. It's going to mean for him the world. But if it's not the right thing for your family, first of all, a person's supposed to have more Hakoras HaToiv for his wife. That's Aleph, so it's against Hakoras HaToiv. But even if it's not the richtige Zach, it's not that it's uncomfortable, it's not that it's a lot of tirche, it's something that it's krum. I mean, it's not straight. So don't get now, and those people, the people that want to do, Arum are going to use this Hakoras HaToiv ticket on you. They're going to say, you could do this for that person and this and that, and you don't have Hakoras HaToiv. No, they didn't learn the sugya. They're now in the chanufa mode. They think they need dafka you. They're in the wrong matziv. They feel that it's going to bring them a lot of covered if you're going to come. No. So that's what a person is supposed to constantly try to have in mind. What does that person ask for Hakoras HaToiv? And if it's uncomfortable, you do it. If it's not right, you don't do it. In the heart, you do it a whole life if it's the right zach, even if you're never going to see a red cent from that person. Now, when there's an ongoing toiv that a person is giving you, it's a very big avoid to give that person Hakoras HaToiv mitzad, the past, and not for the future. Not to have to oil the wheels just because you feel you have to have Hakoras HaToiv. It's going against the environment of today's generation, maybe, that all the presents and zachen is totally not with the past. It's just that I want to say something and request something in return. But then there's another part, very, very Yusoidistic part, that the Chavis Avos himself Be'etzim mentions. What's the pshat that a person does have to have Hakoras HaToiv? That's not the person that helped me, it's Hashem that helped me. So we understand the difference. But why do I have to be'emes feel my life? It says in the Medrash that if a person did a favor for you, you're supposed to owe him your life. Why? It would have happened anyways. Be'emes would have happened anyways. And as long as it with him, Hashem wanted it should happen. So one of the big yisoidis that the Rishonim explain is that technically, technically it's emes, that without that person, it would have also got to you. But being that this is the levush, that's how the Tova got to you. So you see it. The Rebbeinu Shalom you can't physically see. But this is the way it got to you. So this is the way how to bring yourself to be'emes be makar to the shoyrish from the Tov, to the Rebbeinu Shalom. If a person is not going to appreciate the person that did the Tova, then they can't be'emes appreciate the Rebbeinu Shalom. They're not going to practice it. And the be'emes not going to feel obligated to the Rebbeinu Shalom that they have to live up the part that they need to. Did they feel, how can I do an Aveda? How can I do something? The Eibusha gave me so much, if it's money or it's health, and now when Hashem is requesting from me something in return, I'm at home. It's supposed to trigger that feeling. And it's not possible for a person to be'emes develop it to be natural if he's not going to have the person with whom to practice it. So being that person was boicha b'toiv, and that person was the shliach, and that's the person that interacted with you. So that's how you're practicing, and you're turning yourself into a person that's makar toiv to the Rebbeinu Shalom. So you're makar toiv to all the steps how it got to you. That's how it's supposed to come. The person is also levush from the Rebbeinu Shalom, and the yam. The water is also, so that's where we see Hakaras HaTov to the Yam. We see all the steps in the way because it's B'atzem Elikus. And that's what you experienced. So towards that, that's how you bring out but you understand that the Rebbeinu Shalom orchestrated, the Rebbeinu Shalom made this all happen. Rabbi Victor Miller used to say that if a person doesn't say thank you to his mother for preparing such a delicious breakfast, then his Birchas HaMazon is not really worth anything. That means it's the concept of, do you appreciate or you don't appreciate? If you can't do it physically, it means it's just lip service. So it's teaching the person. The same is with Kibud Avayim. That's what it says in Chazal. That's the way how a person feels like, 1 second, Hashem created me. Like Lego. Why do I feel such an ego? So if you could understand that klapa your appearance, so it's supposed to bring you into a humble matzah, but then you're also going to feel those feelings towards the Rebbeinu Shalom. That's the essence, that's the core of Hakaras HaTov. That Hakaras HaTov builds emunah bitochen. That Hakaras HaTov takes away the levush of this person, that person. I'm not using this person because I need him, because I'm getting connected to the way. That's how I'm connecting to the Hashem that brought this person around. I'm constantly putting myself into a shibud to the source of Tov. Masha'enken bechanufa is the exact opposite. You're building the opposite of Emunah B'tochen. You're saying it wasn't Hashem. Because if it was Hashem, then I don't need dafke him. The money will come from a different place. No, it wasn't Hashem. It's that guy. So Ibazoi, I got to see to make sure to pass by and say good showers with a big smile. So if you realize that Hakaras HaTov is the mahalach of taking away the levush that is this person, and the chanufa is forgetting that it was the Rebbeinu Shalom. It's a big job. And what's so complicated with this avoid is not simple avoid, because we owe so many people. People forget about the Rebbeinu Shalom. We shouldn't forget, but I'm saying before we get it, people that really saved us along the way, people that not a small toiv of Isaac Mendorden, again and again and again and again. And we enjoy just not thinking about it because it puts a pressure. Because I feel like in Be'emes says we can't constantly be busy doing back toivas, but the Eibishter Be'emes needs the understanding of the person, the achno, the shibud, the irkanisht. So this is it's an essential part of becoming a Baal Emunah B'tochen, to work this out. That means not to have chanufa, yes to have Hakaras HaTov, and not to fall off the. That means if you go too much this way or the other way, you're not living up what you learned in Chovos HaLevavos. So it doesn't help for a person to decide, okay, I'm going to work on myself, so I'm going to tilt myself to the other side, because any side that you're going to go that's wrong, it's a toignish. That means if a person is going to say, I don't want to do chanufa, so I don't care, you helped me, you didn't help me, everybody's the same by me. Not good. Not good. You have to acknowledge it. You have to smile, but for a different reason. It's a hard job. You have to feel that you want to do a Torah for him, but for the right reason and the right mahalach. Big avoider, but it crawls. Sometimes you could have a person that he gave a chovos avos with a pirush, but he needed the money for it. So now a ton of chanufa for that person that gave him the money, and you could have like the front page. The whole chanufa business, which don't think he checked it over with him. He told him don't print the nusach before. It's part of the job. If you want to go through the sefer, you have to be willing to know. Okay, now we're on to something. But it really, it's a washing machine, because it touches such deep yesodus of the person. But afterwards, a person be'emes becomes so refined. Okay, we say that the image is a love from Zalkan Makayim Zayn.
I told the Rebbe an amazing myself about the Pnei Menachem. He said that